Just scared the CEO. It's 6 p.m, so I'll declare the Ordinary Council meeting for the 25th of November 2025 open. And I'll open with the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional landowners. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the peace and beauty of this area. Direct and prosper the deliberations of this council for the advancement of the city and the welfare of its people. Amen. We'd also like to acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land. We'd also like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Mr. CEO, do we have any apologies?
We do have one apology. Mr. Mayor, yes, we do have one apology for tonight. Is Councillor Sutton? Okay, we are expecting Councillor Sutton to join the meeting, but he is just running slightly late, so we will look forward to him joining the meeting shortly. Other than that, we have everyone in attendance.
Okay, there's a traffic incident on Chester Pass Road, which has made it hard for him to get home and get back. So, truck rollover, I believe. So, he'll be here as soon as he can be. Okay. Any apologies or leave of absence? Any leave of absence? No one? Right, disclosures of interest, please, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. We do have a number of disclosures. They all relate to report number CCS 750. They are displayed on the screen for everybody to read. Their impartiality interests, they have been declared by the Chief Executive Officer, being myself, Councillor McLaren, Deputy Mayor Terry, and also the Executive Director, Corporate and Commercial Services, Mr. Gil Fallon. And I'll just put it to you, Mr. Mayor, and all elected members and staff present. Is there any further disclosures that anybody would like to make? Looks like no further disclosures. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Reports of members, we're going to go that way and give Councillor Sutton a chance to get here. Councillor Leonetti.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, as you know, I brought up about the hospital hydrotherapy pool. I'm not going to bring it to council yet. I feel if I don't get 10% of people wanting it, I'm not going to put it up, because I think it's got to get at least 10%. Otherwise, I feel we're wasting our time. Number two, we had a busy month. We had to help a couple of people out. The bus had a few overhanging trees that we sorted for him. I've got a guy having dog problems, but we'll sort him out. But the major thing is the community have come to me, and I don't have the answers, and they've asked me to put it forward on their behalf. With the top of the mountain, with the when we cleared with the helicopters and all that coming down the hill, they were just under some clarification why we didn't use a cheap avenue to get it down or whatever. I told them I don't know. It's got on that side of it. And and it's just been a busy month trying to help out just the community around the area. Thank you.
I'll clarify that for you. The trail clearing was done by a helicopter because if we were to take vehicles up there was a substantial amount of vegetation to be moved and reused later. But to use a heavy vehicle to move that would have been very damaging to that pretty fragile environment. You know, it's taken us 7 years to get the clearing permits for that, and the reason for that is we've got to be very careful about what we do up there. So that's why. The cost of that helicopter is in the agreed contract price as well. So we've set on a price and we've agreed to that tender. It's not costing us more to do it that way. And as far as the hydrotherapy pool petition, understand, let's be clear, that is a state responsibility. And secondly, we have received 2 or 3 months ago a petition from the community as well. So if there's more coming, I think, what we need to do as a council is settle on an opinion of consensus via the council about what we want to do. We have made some public statements in the past that were about, yes, a hydrotherapy pool needs to happen, but the capital expenditure and the operating expenditure are the responsibility of WA Country Health. And I know that you asked that maybe we borrow $400,000, but if we were to put $400,000, I know that the cost to do that hydrotherapy pool came in substantially north of $500,000 if WA Country Health wanted to do it as well. So we did say that when we consider ALAC, we're on the record as saying we would look at including that in an upgraded ALAC proposal where the public and health patients get the opportunity to access a hydrotherapy pool. We agree, and I think there's consensus on council. We do agree that there needs to be a hydrotherapy option in this community, but our job is to get the state government to pay for it. Is that clear? The other part about the trial, I'm just okay with that? Yep, right. Thanks. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What a busy week, quite a big introduction to this role as councillor, but I'm reasonably pleased to say we went to the Regional Roads meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was a fairly good motion passed to that with the instead of a significant amount of funds into that annually. But on occasion, not all the funds are actually fully expended. So a motion has been passed that any funds not expended by a certain time will actually be put back into the pool. So those councils that do have ongoing projects will be able to access some of those funds to top up what they're doing. So that was a very positive outcome from that meeting, which was all of those regional councils that are in this particular area. From another perspective, going to a few of the schools and just some of the events around there, that's been a really positive opportunity, and for me, a great learning opportunity. So yeah, something that's been really enjoyable and a great introduction to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A few things on the agenda for during this past month. The first thing that I got along to, which I really enjoyed, was a screening of a documentary put on by the Cancer Council called Conquering Skin Cancer at the Town Hall a few weeks ago now. And I was invited to get up on stage and talk about my skin cancer experience that I've had over a number of years, and along with my doctor, John, forgotten his surname, Rollins. So yeah, that was a really engaging experience. During the month, also we had the ACCI Business Awards, and I wanted to do a real big shout out to the Quality Apartments Bankshire Albany Resort, who were awarded the Business of the Year, and the manager there, Christine Coe, was awarded the Business Person of the Year, and they also won the Excellence in Hospitality Award. And it's the second year that the Quality Apartments Bankshire Albany have won the Business of the Year award, and they're doing some great work for the Quality Apartments Resort, but also in their B&B Collective portfolio that they've got and that they've built up over the last number of years. Also during the month, I didn't get along to it, but I just wanted to do a special acknowledgement at the WA Tourism Industry Awards. A special congrats to the Albany Historic Whaling Station, who won the tourism attractions for the second year in a row, and also the cultural tourism, where they beat the WA Museum Bulla Bard Up. And they also, at the Chamber of Commerce Awards, won the Love Local Awards. So huge congrats to Jen Bain, Alice Ackley, Glenn Russell, and of course one of their board members is the man sitting to my left, Councillor Clark, and the rest of the board that are associated with the whaling station. So huge kudos there. Being November, on the 11th of November, everyone stood and stopped at York Street for Remembrance Day. Another poignant service on the calendar for the year. It was a fairly warm day. A lot of people with out in the sun, but being sun smart, I was definitely being sun smart myself. And when that sea breeze came in about halfway through the service, it was a welcome change. Another really good event that I liked getting along to the last couple of years is the opening of the Albany Regional Prison Exhibition at the Vancouver Arts Centre. That exhibition is on for another couple of weeks at the Vancouver Arts Centre, and I strongly encourage people to get along to it because the quality of artwork that has been displayed is getting better and better every year. And this year, I think we were purchasing at least one piece, and there might have been two pieces that we're going to purchase for our City of Albany art collection. Another really engaging and lovely thing to get along to is UWA's Albany Children's University graduation. That was last Thursday at the Entertainment Centre. 139 students have done at least 30 hours of extra study during the course of the year outside of school and getting along to activities like at the Town Hall, the National Anzac Centre, the library and other things. It's really great to see the enthusiasm that those kids have in doing extra learning. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor Stocks. Today is International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Last night at Binallup, I attended the launch of 16 Days of Activism to End Gender-Based Violence. The event was co-hosted by the Albany Seroptimists, of which I am a member, and the Southern Aboriginal Corporation, supported by the WA Police Family Violence Unit. We heard harrowing statistics and heartfelt speeches, and wrote the word unity in the sand with seaweed shells and candles. As the state minister put it today, 16 days is an opportunity to challenge disrespect and harmful behaviors when we see them. Silence allows violence to continue. Everyone has the right to live and work free from violence and harassment, and to achieve this, we must address gender inequality and other forms of discrimination because these create the social context in which violence against women and children occurs. November is also Pride Month, and I was invited to join the celebrations at Parliament and caught up with many friends, members of advocacy groups, and former colleagues. It was wonderful to see members of Albany Pride there. The highlight of the year for me was being invited to join Year 8 at North Albany High School to hear their ideas about inclusive spaces. They're participating in the Minister's Innovation Challenge. Their selected project is looking at the possibility of creating a dedicated teen social space that is gender neutral and indoors. The children have been assessing what Albany has to offer in the way of hangout zones and what is or isn't working, and then developing the criteria that could be great in this space. They've chosen to focus on how an existing space could be adapted and how they could receive support to get it happening. I let them know that the youth-friendly Albany plan is now out for comment, and I encourage them to submit their ideas. Following on from the Weed Action Forum that I held recently, I convened the first strategy session for the leaders of organizations who want more integrated action on weeds. I also participated in the big yarn called Opportunity Rising, which is one more step along the journey to pilot a bespoke place-based RAP plan to drive reconciliation outcomes. This is a significant moment for the reconciliation movement in the Great Southern Region, Western Australia, and Australia-wide. Albany is about to have 4 different political flavors to choose from when it comes to advocacy and assistance, illustrating the diversity in our communities. The Honourable Jess Beckowing MLC officially opens her Albany electorate office tomorrow night. And for the first time ever, we'll have a Greens electorate office here in Albany. The inaugural Albany's Harbour Symposium was held at the Great Southern Grammar School, and I attended. There was a range of local organizations that shared insights into key sustainable development projects occurring across the Great Southern region. Possibly don't have time to go into them at this point, but I look forward to sharing further information about that. I also attended the launch of the community-led restoration of King River, the Warrakulia project, and also the community consultation phase, which included a weed and wildflower walk. I was there for the Diwali Festival, the Albany Show, again, as Deputy Mayor Terry mentioned, the Remembrance Day service, and the Festival of Tor Bay, where I learned about invasive species management, particularly cats and foxes in our region, and also the endangered species protection under the EPBC Act. I went to the Conquering Skin Cancer screening, and also the Albany Symphonia played The Sound of Music at the Denmark Civic Centre.
Thank you. Councillor McKinley.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just the highlights for the month for me were the Remembrance Day. It's always a special day, and the RSL again do a fantastic job, and whoever else helped out. It's always a moving day. Another highlight was also the Albany show. It's all been mentioned, but I went there on the Friday for a couple of hours at the City of Albany stand, and it was what the Albany staff brought about and how they displayed it to the community. I thought needed some mention because it was I think the community loved it and what they could embrace and see. It was very interactive and it was easy for them to understand. So that's all I have. Me.
Thank you. We've also got a promotion in the last month. Congratulations.
Yes.
Your promotion. Councillor Bruff.
Thanks, ma'am. Over the past month, I was asked in a personal capacity to provide support for an individual working within a government department currently facing internal action. I want to be clear, I'm not commenting on the details of their role or their identity or the department involved. What concerned me about the allegation against them was that it didn't relate to misconduct or inappropriate behaviour. The complaint explicitly stated that the public servant had expressed pro-Western civilization values, and when challenged, they defended those values confidently, and this was formally listed as part of the complaint against them. Now, at the same time, as councillors are aware, this month I've been up at the State Administrative Tribunal challenging the basis of the decision of this council to coerce me to undergo training for expressing a political view in a political context. I mention these two matters because together they point to a broader concern that many Australians share: the growing tendency of institutions to treat political disagreement as a disciplinary issue rather than a democratic one. For my part, I simply reiterate that disagreement is not harmful. It is the lifeblood of a healthy democracy. And the values and traditions that underpin our society should not be treated as suspect when someone expresses or defends them. So it's been a month of advocating firmly for freedom of expression, for political diversity, and for the basic democratic norm that ideas should be met with argument and engagement, not punishment. It has been a month well spent.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been great to be sitting back around the chamber and be back in the community, in local community, and I think that's something we can all sit around this chamber and know that we really can make change when we come together. And I think some of the highlights to my first month back on council was attending the strategic workshop session that we had last week. Unfortunately, it was disappointing to see we didn't have the full quorum of councillors, and I respect that people have jobs and other commitments, but I look forward to making sure that we have all voices around that table so we can get that diverse voices, but we can also champion for the community that we've been elected to be here for. I attended the citizenship ceremony with the Mayor, which is something that I absolutely love doing and have done for many years, and so that was a big privilege to attend that and hear the Mayor's story of his mum's journey here and also the loss of his wife's citizenship certificate. So I can pretty much do his own spiel for him now, so which is good. Also meeting the CEO of Foyer Australia. It's a project that the former Mayor and Councillor Clark in his former capacity have championed for many, many years, and it was great to finally have the CEO here in Albany to really hear locally the advocacy work that has gone on for many, many years. And I also can proudly say I've passed my first module of WALGA training. I couldn't do the second module because it was still under construction, which is quite interesting when there's all these people that need to do it. But yeah, proud to have achieved that, and I did need a second attempt, but I did pass, so that was good. And yeah, just looking forward to another busy month around on council. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Sutton hasn't made it, but I'm sure he'll get here when he can. Response to previous public questions taken on notice, there are nil, so it's public question time. I have one person who has indicated they wish to speak. The rules are, if you could state your name, the suburb you're from, the item which you are addressing. There's a traffic light system. The green goes for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Amber for 30 seconds. At the end of 4 minutes, that's the end of your submission to council. Let's note that Councillor Sutton has entered the room at 6:20. I'll check in a moment. Before we go to public question time, Councillor Sutton, let's just backtrack a little. Thanks for getting here as quickly as you could. A, do you have any declarations of interest? Okay. Thank you. So I'll ask Peter Brown to the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors, for giving me the chance to talk. I just wanted to raise a few matters regarding Councillor Stevens' notice of motion, which is 15.1. Firstly, I'd like to say the Department of Planning took out that community reference group process in August, and with the help of the Department of Planning here, rolled out a very professional process of getting the consultants consultation from the community before they took stock. So they virtually came to us with a blank canvas and said, what's your thoughts on this idea first? And that was well received, and I really appreciate the efforts that was done. The comments on this document that I understand Councillor Stevens' concern about congestion on Bayonet Head Road, and it's great to have a councillor that lives in the area and cares about the community there. I just noting the dot points on here, it looks like some decisions have already been made about the development. And I just wonder your policy and procedures regarding consultation. Have we got those? I don't think this process recognises consultation.
All right. Well, I'll come in there and say there's absolutely no decision made. This is a notice of motion to bring this to the attention of council. There has been absolutely no decisions made, and the council has a community engagement group, and it will go to that community engagement group to say for advice on the best way to consult with the community on if this motion gets up. So that's presumptuous to think that A, it's going to get up, and B, that we've already utterly rejected the notion that we've already made a decision.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The dot point number 5 on the proposed notice of motion does state that basically the residents and the wider community will be addressed last on this. So that's why I consider that should be first.
What are you referring to, Mr. Brett?
The notice of motion,
yep.
Dot point 5, really relates to the last point, where really that should be the first point. In terms of a four-way intersection, that would be incorrect. The idea of building a new road to the school, that's really old school thinking. Sorry about the pun there, but it's pretty ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. We'll consider that, and you might be right.
Yeah. So I can assume that you've got policies and procedures that this will be followed.
I'll just explain that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. Just a couple of other points. Some of the outline development plans and some environmental stuff that was done back in 2013 and 2007, that's irrelevant today. I mean, life's moved on. I think the whole community is more concerned about the environment than documents that were done 20 years ago. So I just made that comment. There has been a reason that there needs a connecting road for fire escape. That could be easily solved via a fire emergency exit space, unsealed. That's not an issue.
Well, I'd like to correct you there as well, because we've for a long time been working with Development WA on that land to try and find an exit, a second exit, and we've been unable to get the clearing to do it.
Okay, right. There's a statement further down in one of the paragraphs down the back. It says, however, several constraints must be considered, including the need to acquire Crown land vested in the Albany Cemetery Board for environmental clearing. That's an oxymoron. You might as well say anti-environment clearing or change that words.
These are councillor reasons. These are not.
Yeah,
It's not something set in concrete.
yeah.
And I would point out that the land that we're talking about goes behind the cemetery and is the cleared land that is farmland. It's Crown land vested to the Cemetery Board in the City of Albany. So we won't be clearing any trees if we go behind the cemetery and link up to Mercer Road. I think Councillor Stevens is talking about potentially that road that goes to Flinders Park School, but I can't be sure because I haven't discussed this with
my
Councillor Stevens.
So just another couple of comments here. Congestion's not that bad. It's all relative. You know, you go up to Perth and, you know, it's ridiculous. But here, a little bit of congestion's not a bad thing because it forces people to look at alternatives to driving. And it also, we need to talk about things like why is the bus service not working in that catchment? Why is there people driving their four-wheel drives up to get their kids all the time? It's just crazy stuff. That's my view on that. So yes, I think that we are planning things in a very old-fashioned. When we think about the future, there's going to be electric cars. They may not have drivers in them, and there'll be a lot more opportunities for people to have one car instead of two per household. And we really need to, we're talking about long-term planning here, and within 10 years, there's going to be a very different circumstances to getting around the city.
I'm going to give you an extension because I've interrupted you on a number of occasions, so you've got another minute.
Yeah, so I think, trying to solve this issue engineering-wise is like putting another lane on the freeway. You're just going to fill it up with cars, so please be mindful of that. And it would be really nice to see that this process is done fairly for everyone up there who lives up there, and that we don't sort of say, look, we're going to do all these things from an engineering perspective before we've looked at options and had some lateral thinking happening. Because, yeah, the officer's comment on the end there, it's a waste of ink. So that's my words. Thank you.
Okay. Look, no doubt, we'll explore all the options, Mr. Brown. There are, I guarantee you, there's nothing that's been decided at this point. What we're asking for is to start thinking about what those options might be. Is there anyone else who wishes to address council in the public gallery? No? Thank you. That concludes public question time. We'll move on to reports. Sorry, I've jumped in a bit. Yep. Mr. CEO, are there any applications for leave of absence?
There is no applications received, but I'll ask you if you can put that to the meeting, Mr.
Yeah, I'm looking for a leave of absence. No. There are no petitions and deputations. Confirmation of the minutes is the draft motion is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of October 2025 as previously distributed be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Someone to move. Thank you, Councillor Leonetti. Councillor Brough. Councillor Leonetti. Councillor Brough. Anyone speaking against? No? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
There are no presentations and there's no unresolved business from previous meetings. Now we can move on to reports. Righto, CCS 750 does contain some confidential information. Is there anyone that wants to go behind closed doors to talk about that? Because if you do, we'll move to the back of the meeting. No? Righto, we'll move on. The recommendation in front of you is that applications for the independent membership of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, ARIC, be received. 2, that candidate 7 in a confidential attachment that you've been provided with to be appointed as the presiding member of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committees. 3, that candidate 3 in the confidential attachment to be appointed as an independent committee member of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. 4, that candidate 6 in the confidential attachment be appointed as the deputy of the presiding member of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. 5, all appointed members will sign the City's Code of Conduct declaration and participate in the formal induction program. And 6, that the selection process will use a transparent scoring matrix as outlined in the candidate information pack. Maybe that should say has used. Can we change that, please? Happy with that change, councillors? With that, someone to move that, please. Deputy Mayor Terry, seconder. Councillor Clark, Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a really good discussion at the CCS meeting a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, I can't mention any names at this point, although it will become apparent when we have our first meeting and minutes come out. But isn't it great that we had at least 7 candidates put their hand up for this role? Going into this, we were a bit concerned that we might not get 2, but we've got 7. And there was a really good selection of candidates that put their hand up, and it was a bit of a difficult situation, bit of a challenging conversation we had around the table, but I think we ended up with a really good choice with all 3 candidates in the end. And as we know, the deputy of the presiding member doesn't necessarily need to attend all of the meetings because they are there really as a proxy for the presiding member if the presiding member can't make it. But hopefully that deputy will get along to as many meetings as possible so that they are aware of what's going on around the table. And that's all I need to say about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Are you speaking against? No? Right, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 7-2. Against, Councillor Leonetti and Councillor Brough.
CCS 753, or part 2, sorry, recommendation. Yes, recommendation 2 is that the council appoint all elected members to the ARIC, the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. Someone to move that, please. Councillor McLaren. A seconder? Councillor Sutton, Councillor McLaren.
Just briefly, Mayor, I would just say that we had a good discussion about the merits of being on the Audit and Risk Committee and how there was an expression of interest in the last council iteration that all councillors would be members. We discussed the issue of quorum and whether we would struggle to meet quorum if everyone was actually a member. And we determined that we could still easily meet quorum and we would still be able to function even if all councillors could come. There weren't, every councillor was not at that committee meeting when we discussed this. And I raised that at the time that we should probably consult with all of them before we move that. But because any councillor can attend, but they're not required to attend, we thought it would be best to just go forward with this motion with the majority of support for it. There's so much work that gets done in the Audit and Risk Committee, and each of us as councillors are liable for the decisions that council makes. So it's really important that we're across it, even if we don't go to the committee. So it's a good idea that all of us are members, and I support the motion.
Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I just completely agree with what Councillor McLaren's just said. We have compulsory membership of the 2 other main committees, CCS and DIS, and this has got to be at least equal, if not more important than that. So Just makes good sense and good governance to actually all be part of this committee. Most important, I think.
Thank you. Anyone wanting to speak against this motion? No? Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 753. The recommendation is that the monthly financial report for the period ending 30th of September 2025 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Clark. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Clark. Anyone speaking against? No, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 754, the recommendation is that the list of accounts authorised for payment under delegated authority to the Chief Executive Officer for the period ending 30th of September 2025, totalling $8,652,658.72 be received. Somebody move that. Councillor Stevens, seconder. Councillor McKinley, Councillor Stevens, Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? No. Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 755, the recommendation is that the delegated authority reports for the 16th of September 2025 to the 15th of October 2025 be received. Someone to move. Councillor McLaren, seconder. Councillor Clark, Councillor McLaren, Councillor Clark. Anyone speaking against? No? Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 756. The recommendation is that the council approves a new lease over hangar sites 33 and 34, located on portion of lot 2143635 Albany Highway, Drome at Albany Regional Airport, to My World Assets Proprietary Limited, subject to the terms and conditions outlined in section 9 in this report. A mover. Thank you, Councillor Brough. Councillor McKinley, Councillor Brough, Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 757, the corporate scorecard. The recommendation is that the corporate scorecard report Q1 2025-26 be noted, noting that this did not go through to committee. So if anyone wants to talk about it, we can ask for a councillor or an officer comment. Is anyone looking for officer comment on this at all? No? Take it as read then. Have someone move that, please. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Clark, Councillor Sutton, Councillor Clark. Anyone speaking against? Yeah, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
DIS 445 Millbrook Road. There's obviously a confidential attachment to this discussion. Does anyone want to go behind closed doors? No? Okay, we'll proceed. Recommendation 1 is that council amend the budget as follows. Transfer from roadworks, drainage and paths reserve, WO 1339.2703 from $2,211,606 to $2,231,606. And 2, increased budget for job number 2435 Millbrook Road, SLK 10.6 to 12.5, reconstruction and widening from $1,451,100 to $1,471,100. Someone to move. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Leonetti, Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Matt. Just just briefly, we had a really, really good explanation on this and some of the wording in the initial officer's recommendation, but I think everyone at the committee, which was brilliantly chaired, I've got to say, agreed with that, and it was great information from Paul.
Councillor Leonetti, thank you. Well, I hope I do just as good a job. Anyone wishing to speak against? Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just maybe put an underline on this, because I just am concerned about generally the fact that we are losing a lot of our trees due to road widening. Now, in this particular instance, we do need to seek a clearing approval because of the amount of vegetation that will be lost. Just wanted to bring your attention to the fact that this is currently a 6-meter wide corridor, and it will be increased to 8.6 meters. Plenty of room. And my concern is the loss of vegetation in this section. Now, this particular recommendation doesn't deal with that loss. The decision to widen the road was made elsewhere. This recommendation is merely agreeing to the tenderer and increasing the amount of money that we're going to spend. So in my capacity as a councillor, I really have no other forum to raise this other than to speak in opposition of it, to say that at some point we need to be able to articulate how much native vegetation will be lost through the road widening that's going to occur at a tremendous rate and across our region, thanks to the new rates that we've levied. So we are going to have a lot of clearing. It is going to impact native vegetation on the verges. And I would dearly love, and maybe I'll flag a future motion, I would dearly love us to calculate the loss of that and ensure that there is an attempt to protect vegetation that is equal to the amount that we are ripping up for roads. So I'm speaking in a cautionary tale in opposition to this motion, but I do intend to support the tendering of it and flag that at some point we're going to have to deal with this tremendous loss to biodiversity because, frankly, landowners have cleared as close as they can to the road reserve. And so all that's left are these remnants along the edges. And we're going to have to calculate that seriously soon in order to ensure that we don't have a terrible loss of biodiversity at a time when we need to have a gain.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak for or against? Councillor Sutton, you've got the right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I understand what Councillor McLaren's saying, but we can plant more trees. We can't reinstate human life. Now, the reason I was late tonight was because there was a road train accident on Chester Pass Road. So we need decent roads and we need decent width. For whatever reason, the road reserve, which initially meant roads, the reserve for the road, they've turned into green belts around Australia now. Now, what's better, to widen the roads a little bit, lose a tree or two, or attract the cockatoos and the other animals to feed on the side of the road and in those trees, and then have a greater opportunity to run over? I see it every day. Tonight coming in as well. So I think we've got to actually look, human life comes first, and we can plant more trees. So please support this. Thank you.
That concludes debate. I'll put that motion to the floor. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Thank you. Recommendation 2 is that council award contract C 25029 Millbrook Road, SLK 10.6 to 12.5, reconstruction and widening to the tenderer recommended by the evaluation panel as detailed in the confidential briefing note attached to this report. Someone to move that, please. Deputy Mayor Terry, Councillor Buff. Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Buff. Anyone speaking against? No? Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Again, Campbell Road reconstruction. There's a confidential attachment that you've had the ability to go through both at committee and privately. Anyone want to go behind closed doors for this? Okay, we'll proceed. Committee recommendation 1 is that council amend the road expenditure budget as follows, and 1 is to transfer from roadworks, drainage and paths reserve WA 1339.2703 from $2,231,606 to $2,471,606, and 2, increase the budget for job number 2334 Campbell Road reconstruction from $1,725,000 to $1,965,000. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Stevens, Councillor Clark. Councillor Stevens. Councillor Clark.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Anyone wishing to speak against? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Recommendation 2 is that the council award contract C25021 Campbell Road reconstruction to the tenderer recommended by the evaluation panel as detailed in a confidential briefing note attached to this report. Someone to move that, please. Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor McKinley. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. This project is a vitally important one, very important road. It's unfortunate that we've had to increase the budget for it, but there's some really good reasons behind it, and that's just cost escalation. There's going to need to be quite considerable traffic management for this project, just to manage the traffic that goes up and down that road every day, as well as the emergency management traffic, which Councillor Clark raised at the committee meeting. Great to see that we've got 3 tenderers to come for this one, and happy to award to the tenderer recommended in the confidential report. Thank you.
Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? No? Put that to the vote then. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
DIS 457, Planning and Building Reports. The recommendation is that the Planning and Building Reports for October 2025 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Clark, Councillor McLaren. Councillor Clark. Councillor McLaren. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
That's the end of reports. New business of an urgent nature introduced by a decision of council is nil. We do have a motion from Councillor Stevens. Councillor Stevens, would you like to read that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Notice of motion of which previous notice has been given. That Council 1 consider the allocation of up to $150,000 in the 2026-27 budget to undertake a feasibility study for realignment of Mercer Road, including construction of a 4-way intersection on Lower King Road with a new connecting road to Flinders Park Primary, identification of potential measures such as creating a dual carriageway on Lower King Road to increase traffic capacity, construction of cost estimates and potential staging opportunities, identification of environmental, land tenure and heritage considerations, consultation and engagement strategies with Main Roads WA, Development WA, Albany Cemetery Board, residents and the wider community. 2, advocate and seek support from state government to partner with the city in funding the design and construction for a long-term solution to address traffic congestion and safety concerns related to a single road access to Baynard Head.
Thank you. Someone to second that? Councillor Clark. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason for my motion is varying, and I will read what has been written and with the support of the staff, respectfully understanding that this is, everyone's got their own opinions and that this is quite a large and complex issue that's been around for many, many years, and this is the reason that I've brought it as a notice of motion so that it can be brought to the community and to us as a council to explore options. So the reason is the motion seeks to address the ongoing issues of access to the suburb of Baynard Head, including the increased traffic congestions at the intersection of Baynard Head Road and Lower King Road during peak traffic periods. Baynard Head is home to approximately 3,500 residents and extends to Warrangaroo Road in the south to Elizabeth Street in the north. Residential development began in the mid-1970s in the south section, with the north section developing from around 2008 through the partnership between Landcorp and private developers. Demand for further residential development remains strong. The presence of vegetated areas between the north and south part of the suburb presents considerable challenges to establish the additional road connections originally intended to link with Lower King Road and improve overall traffic. Currently, Baynard Head Road remains the sole access route to the older southern section of the suburb. This lack of alternative access option contributes to congestion and heightens bushfire risk and other public safety risks, including surrounding uncleared bushland and limited evacuation routes available to residents. To address these issues, city officers have suggested a proposal to construct a new intersection on Lower King Road at the north end of Baynard Head Road with a new connecting road to Flinders Park School. Several constraints must be considered, including the need to acquire Crown land vested in the Albany Cemetery Board, environmental and protection clearing, as protection of the environment and also potential clearing, requirements and identification of suitable funding sources. To progress towards a viable design solution, an estimated investment of $150,000 is required to undertake a feasibility study and concept design work encompassing traffic, land tenure and environmental assessments. Subject to the outcome of the process, a construction cost estimate can then be developed in consultation with the community, noting that there may be limited opportunities for staging this work.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly from my perspective, and if I'm putting an old hat on from an emergency services perspective, the access into that part is somewhat restricted. And certainly if you're taking an ambulance or something like that down there under priority and you're navigating ground traffic at certain times of the day, it's very, very dangerous, but it also restricts the amount of time, or it increases the time in that response, which obviously when you're going to save somebody's life potentially, that makes a difference. So I really strongly support this motion by Councillor Stevens, as I think these are the sorts of things that will make the difference to the city, but will also improve the quality of life of people overall with access around the community and our livability. Thanks.
Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. And as we heard earlier tonight from one of the citizens who's here, Peter Brown, there is a, well, I am excited by the opportunity to solve the safety concerns that the residents of Baynard Head have. I'm not sure that being this prescriptive about how to solve the problem is going to help us. Mr. Brown mentioned that the consultation phase should happen really as a foundation piece of this whole exercise, and that we should examine all the opportunities that present. And while I understand why some of those ideas have been listed in the first 4 dot points, they may well limit the scope of a feasibility study to only consider these things. And there may well be other options that are better. So my concern and my reason for opposing this is that it already proposes the solution without fully investigating all the potential opportunities. So I think that I can read the room, and I know that there's considerable support for this in amongst councillors at the moment. But if we'd had an opportunity to workshop this earlier, I think I would have said, yes, let's start the consultation and engagement strategy with Main Roads Development WA, the Albany Cemetery Board, residents, and the wider community. Include the emergency services in that, and come up with a really good solution for this. And then look, maybe that is the construction of a 4-way intersection and a new road to Flinders Park. And maybe that is a dual carriageway on Lower King Road. So it doesn't really, my opposing this doesn't really, I don't think it's going to stop this motion and stop this going ahead. But hopefully by voicing these concerns, when they do undertake the feasibility study, they do consider that there may well be other options. There may well be other opportunities to have the safety concerns of the people at Bayonet Head addressed. My other concern is with point 2, which is advocate and seek support from the state government to partner with the city in funding the design and construction of a long-term solution. Well, if this is not the long-term solution, what is? And if we just do this as a short-term solution, what could possibly be a long-term solution? I can't imagine it. Is it a bridge? I'm not sure what it is. And so surely we should be looking at this stage at long-term solutions to this problem, and doing it once and doing it well. So I will be opposing this. And I encourage other councillors to oppose it as well.
It sounds like you should be putting up an amendment. Pushkin. Turn your mic on. Microphone.
Thank you. I could move an amendment to delete.
Well, we can take some time to word it if you like. We can work through it if you.
No, I could just delete the 4 dot points. And so it would be consider the allocation of $150 to undertake a feasibility study for the safety and for a possible realignment of Mercer Road. And begin by developing a consultation and engagement strategy. So it would be, and begin.
So you could leave 0.5 in? Could you leave 0.5 in?
Beg your pardon?
0.5 talks about engagement strategy.
Yes.
Do you want to leave that or amend that?
I would, well, if I'm deleting the other dot points, you don't need a dot point, so you just make that into the 0.1. So.
Right. Can we have that
See where I'm coming?
drafted up, please? So.
And 0.2 could remain if
And 0.2 remains as it is.
yeah, because we still want to solve that problem long term.
Yep.
So in a way, I'm saying yes, we do want to start with just straight away. So
All right. All you're taking out is the prescriptive nature of the motion. Have we got that? Give us a minute. All right. Look, so the alternate, if you don't want to change, and I don't think you are changing the intent of Councillor Stevens' original motion, if you want to vary it much further than that, you need to put up an alternate. Are you happy with that?
yeah, I mean, that would of course be rewritten, because including and the colon and then having 1 dot point under it is grammatically.
Well, let's rewrite it before we start.
Mr Mayor, I think if I can suggest that we just need to be clear that we're not, if it stays in its current form, could be interpreted that we're realigning the whole of Mercer Road. I think we need to be, perhaps with Mr Cammons, to provide a bit of clarity on that particular location and that intersection. We're not talking about the whole realignment. So could we perhaps try with some wording, if that's okay?
Thank you. That looks fantastic. That's the amendment I would like to move.
So you happy with that?
It's perfect.
And I'll leave part 2 as it is?
This part 2 can stay there.
Yep. Do I have a seconder? Yes, you can. Councillor Stevens. Do you want to go through all of that debate again?
No, what do you want?
Well, it's now
No,
your
I
motion.
just would
so
like
you
to
need
move
speak.
that. I moved the amendment before us, the amendment.
And do you want to add anything to it?
No, just to say that, I would appreciate councillors thinking on their feet on this one.
Councillor Stevens?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to support the amendment. My original intent to bring this to the chamber was to have it documented and a commitment from the council with the support of the councillors to be able to actually have some funding to look at the feasibility and to consult with the community. And I respect Mr Brown's comments, and we've had some quite lengthy conversations in the past, and I do live in Baynard Head and my neighbours here, and we all have blended families with a lot more cars, a lot more congestion, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So I think if we could be sitting here in another 20 years' time when it's not us and someone else still might not have a solution to some of the challenges that we face in the area. And it's not just for the Baynard Head residents. Anyone who comes in from Lower King and further afield, Nannarup, in the mornings and in the afternoons, if there's a funeral happening, it is a highly congested area, and for all the safety reasons that Councillor Clark also mentioned, along with bushfire risk, it's something that we need to actively start looking at potential solutions and respecting the community's input and opportunity for them to have that conversation with council as well. So I urge you all to support the alternative motion.
The amendment.
The amendment.
Anyone wishing to speak against? Councillor Leonetti?
Thank you, Chair. No, this ain't against. Just clarification. Range Road, where is that coming out of on Lower King Road there? And when is it going to start, approximately?
Range Road doesn't come off, it comes off Mercer Road. So it'll
But ain't it going through to Lower King?
and then through to,
About?
eventually goes through to Stanmore, Hooper.
Yeah, so what we're saying is, so we're going to have that one going into town and then we're realigning Baynard Head as well.
Well, if you want that clarification, I think it's a good question, is that it's unlikely, I think, that we would proceed if there was an alternate, that you go Stranmore and you come around the back of the cemetery, and you probably, that way you're not clearing a lot of bush, so you're likely to get your permit and EPA approval more likely. Is that a reasonable assumption? We'll go to the executive director.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So the alignment for the future range road is up through Hooper. So the Hooper Road Reserve is heavily vegetated, and it needs to go over a pretty deep creek as well. So it's there's a fair bit of work involved with that project. So I'm not quite sure in terms of the whole construction of Range Road about when that portion of it may happen. So I think that's part of the advantage of potentially having this alignment at an earlier time, because it kind of serves the same purpose as that extension of Range Road, because you're heading out north of Bayonet Head.
A good question, but it probably means that Hooper Road doesn't need to be developed if you investigate this and that becomes a part of the solution. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, because the reason I asked, because I think what we're doing, we're just moving that out a bit further down the road. I think we need actually another one to take those people from Lower King out of that intersection completely and coming in from the back. That's why I was asking about Range Road, like Hooper Road, whether we move up a bit or whatever and run it through on the Merce Cross to your Range Road and back in. You know what I mean? So if we do this, it needs to be able to make sure it hooks into that Range Road to give us that extra avenue back in the town.
Point of order.
Still only going
Point of order.
Lower King.
What's the point of order?
Well, this isn't anything to do. The member is talking about things which we're not talking about right now.
Yeah, we are
Talking about this motion before us.
No, overall,
Unless there's an amendment.
no, overall, he's able to talk about it.
Any other
No.
questions?
Sorry.
Carry on.
The only reason I brought it up is we could spend a lot of money and then we still need that other one anyway. Can we have that linking into that new Range Road? You know where I'm sort of coming from?
All right.
Thank
Well, I think the point is you're asking a question. The question is that we're doing a feasibility study. That may well come into into play in a feasibility study. It's a good question, not to be answered here tonight. Could be 10 years' time. But if we do this amendment gets up, that should be included in the conversation. Anything else? Councillor Leonetti, anything else? No. Anyone else? For or against? Councillor McLaren, you have right of reply.
I appreciate Councillor Stevens in her second meeting putting forward a suggestion for one of the wicked problems that we've got in this city. You know, hats off to you. This is incredible that we are taking a step forward to solve some of those wicked transport issues that are happening in Albany. So I think, you know, if we can support this tonight, we've got a great momentum to solve those problems. And getting the Development WA and Main Roads WA and the state government advocating for, you know, some real serious long-term solutions. I think it's what the city of Albany elected us to do. So I hope that councillors support this.
That closes debate. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment?
Carried 9-0.
That becomes this substantive motion. Anita Mover, do you want to move that again?
Yeah, I move that the amended motion.
Actually, I should give Councillor Stevens the option to move it. Do you want to move that amendment? And do you want to second it? Yep.
I think a lot of things have been said, but thank you for my fellow councillors for supporting this motion. I think it is a really positive way forward that I hope that we can work as a council, that some of these issues that have been around our community for a very long time, we can take leadership in this space. And I really do want to sit around this chamber and make some good decisions collectively for the greater good of the community. So I do respectfully thank you for support on this one.
Councillor McLaren, and thank you for the amendment.
Thank you. Yes, I really appreciate the opportunity to consider this and change it as we discuss it tonight. That shows a maturity of thinking in this council that I really appreciate. I think it was perhaps, to putting the cart before the horse to make some specific suggestions about how this could be solved. And now we are fully focused on a good, decent study to give us some solutions. And I support the amendment, the amended motion.
Anyone wishing to speak against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Well done. Thank you. There are no reports of city officers. The meeting is now closed to the public at 7:10. Thank you.